Hello. Okay, two things. My windows are open, so you might hear people outside messing around. And my door's probably gonna rattle backwards and forwards because there's a breeze going through the house. But other than those two things, hello. I'm having this internal struggle because I desperately want to carry on working on GetStore, but I also want to break or create a bit of rhythm in the streams. So I am equally interested in seeing how practical it would be to start building a TypeScript version of SilverStripe, which is an interesting challenge. SilverStripe is a PHP framework modeled after Django, which is a Python framework. What's cool about SilverStripe is that it comes built in with a CMS, and that its database objects, or models as it calls them, are designed in such a way that the properties you define on those classes get persisted to the database. It's very Django-esque. And it's cool, but I've been doing a lot of JavaScript, and I want to learn more TypeScript, and I want to see how easy it would be to have something like that in TypeScript. So that's kind of the topic for tonight, I think. So let's see if I can make a decent start in an hour. The first thing that I want to do, that I think I should do, is set up some Yarn workspaces for this, because I want to model the application code, and I want to have like a sample application that uses it, but I don't want to mix the two bits together. So I think what I should do is try and get Adonis 5 and base the code off of that. I think that's what I should do. But I do want to have workspaces though, so I need to get the workspace thing going. So I also really don't know what to call this. I'll say something like TS framework. TS framework. Just going to call it that for now. Now, I don't know how to set workspaces up because I've never done it myself. I kind of only know what it feels like to use it. But we use them a lot at Sunlam Indie. And so I'm just going to copy the setup that's there and see if I can get that to work. We have this JavaScript SDK repo, which is actually okay if you can see the guts of that. Okay, so there's a package file which I'll just have to whittle down. That's the first thing. We are listening to Ori and the Blind Forest, if you are so inclined. JS framework. I don't actually need a name on this, but anyway, I'll just call it JS framework for now. TS framework is actually what I wanted to call it. TS framework, whatever. Doesn't really have a main. Doesn't really have any of this stuff yet. Whatever. Okay, no scripts yet, no dependencies yet, none of this mess yet. Although, let's keep learner in. Get rid of the Husky stuff. Okay, so learner is okay. So Yarn is like an npm thing. In case you're unfamiliar, very reductionist statement there. Yarn is like an npm thing, but it ships with some interesting features, and one of them is workspaces. Now, workspaces are a tool to allow you to have a monorepo of code, but to treat the individual packages in there as if they were separately installable things in npm. So you can use versioning and you can use namespacing, but you can manage everything in the same repo, and you don't need to do git pushes in order to do npm installs for the updated code. It's pretty cool. It uses symbolic links and all that sort of stuff to make sure that you're using the most up-to-date code. Learner is a way of publishing that stuff. I don't think I want to set a learner thing up yet. Yeah, I don't think I want to set a learner thing up yet, so I'm actually going to remove that from dependencies for now. I'm just happy with this being in packages. So there's that. I need to make a packages folder. And then inside there, I put the individual repos, as I want to call it. So we have like this people thing, and then this has its own package.json file. So what do I call this? This package can be framework, I guess. TS framework, whatever. Let's not do that. Let's leave that empty. Let's leave that empty. I will undoubtedly use that stuff, but for now this is fine. So I just want to use this and have like monorepo. I don't know, something like that. This is never going to get used, right? This is private, but this is not. So okay, that's that. And then I also want to make a folder for skeleton. This is going to be like the or maybe I'll change this to application. This is going to be the example application that you clone, or that you npm install, and that you start writing your application code in. Now, this application I actually want to base on top of Adonis, but I don't know if Adonis v5 is released yet. I actually asked in the Adonis Slack, and I was pointed towards like a scaffolding thing. Let me go back there. But yeah, I don't think this. I don't think this has the. Oh, I don't have it on here. Let me try and log into it on the Slack on this machine quickly. Wrong password? No, right password. Adonis. Okay. Is it that? I never know if it's. I never know the subdomain, and I forgot to check down one password. Open. Oh wait, it's not. They did have a Slack. That's right. That's probably why I can't see it. Ha, ha. They moved to Discord, if I remember correctly. Do I even have that installed on here? Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Do I have it on the... Damn it, I have it nowhere! Okay, hold on. I just need to plug the iPad in there, so I'll do that quickly. Oof, the feedback. Feedback is intense. Okay, so I don't want to have to log into the Discord because I don't even have that installed at the moment. This looks like a new logo. So maybe they have a release, but they just haven't announced it yet. That's a different framework version from what I'm expecting though. Do they have a branch I can use? Probably develop. 11 days, 4 hours, 2 hours. So this develop branch is probably what I want to pull from. Damn it! But now I don't know if. Woohoo! Where is that Discord? Cool. Well, there I am. Now I did ask in here, Adonis 5. End of the month, brand new website documentation. Hey, Marinoid. Good to see you. See, this is where I asked. So let me jump to that. And there was a link under there. Where's that message? Hey folks, was wondering, create Adonis TS app. Hey, might be making some progress on here. npx create, okay. So let's do that from here. App, that, and in the same folder. What am I running on my machine? What? Let's see what this does. So Marinoid, I'm trying to create, I'm looking at what amount of work would be involved in trying to create a TS version of SilverStripe, which is a PHP framework. And I thought it would be a good idea to base any framework thing on an existing, solid existing base. Oh, come on. I guess I'm going to have to delete this. Solid existing base. And I thought Adonis would be good because that's TS and it's JavaScript and it's good. Like it has an ORM. I don't know if I'd like to use its ORM. I mean, maybe I could sort of, I'll explain what I mean by that soonish. Okay, so this looks promising. I don't like that there's an Adonis RC JSON. I think that's gross. Yeah, it does sound reasonable. I'm keen for it because there's a lot of stuff in Adonis, not just the ORM, which I would kind of be modifying heavily, but things like a service container, auto-loading, a view layer, all these things are pretty good, and there's good documentation for them, and there's like WebSocket support, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. It's just really the CMS part that I'd be building on top of Adonis from that point of view, and customizing the model slightly so that I could define properties that automatically go to the database. So it'd be like temporary migrations created. But I don't know how much work is involved, which is why I'm trying this little experiment. This seems to be working though, which I'm quite happy about. Obviously this isn't stable Adonis yet, so there might be quite a lot of changes between now and the end of the month. No, it's cool. I'm not that much into it either, but I'm sort of into it. But it's more like I want to see if I can design something in TypeScript that looks and feels like SilverStripe, not necessarily do the whole implementation today, or even in a reasonable amount of time, but more like design it from the point of view of documentation and developer experience. That's kind of what I'm going for. This is taking a while though. Boop, 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 boop. I like that it was seemingly quite easy to set this up. That's pretty cool. Oh, protected properties. TypeScript's great, man. Well, that's interesting. It certainly is interesting. Okay, it's done. Node ace serve watch. So ace is now project specific. I have to do watch on there. Config session. So it doesn't seem to have installed a super amount of stuff. This is yuck. This is yuck. This is kind of yuck. But let's give it a go. I also haven't written TypeScript in a very long time. So I hope I don't break doing this. What is adonis.js assembler? That's interesting. Ace core fold. So fold is the dependency injection container. Session support, view support. There's a bunch of stuff that's not here, like lucid. What is Youch? Youch terminal. No, pretty. What's this? I don't know. I do not know. But anyway, TS framework is the namespace for this application. Let's give this a 1. Let's take this away. Whatever. Seems fine. Okay. I don't even know what these commands are for this either, so I'll have to see what that's about. But maybe I can follow some of this stuff, some of this documentation still. Okay, anyway, package lock is not going to work with yarn, so let me delete that. Let me delete node modules. I'll just have to download these dependencies again. Just say yarn. Actually, no. Go one level up, yarn from here. Because this will install the Workspaces stuff as well. And create a log file at the top here, I think. I wonder if it'll create a log file in the nested directory as well. So it's got yarn lock up here. It doesn't have yarn lock. What? I don't really understand. Do I do yarn in here as well? Already up to date. That's impressive. That probably goes to the top level then. Then I guess learner would be responsible for creating the lock file, maybe. Okay, so I can go yarn all the things. Node ace serve watch was the command that it told me to run, and it broke. TS config not found. Adonis preset TS config not found. But this hasn't. Where is? Yarn help. Yarn workspace. Do I do that from in here? Yarn workspace. No. Is this? Does this declare a workspace from a remote directory? Yarn help. Oh, my hat. Why do I have to go to docs to figure out how this works? Yarn workspaces. Maybe my local machine doesn't have workspaces enabled. Paths to each workspace, which is packages, and in there, and these all have things in them, right? Okay, let me read through this properly. Package JSON private true and workspaces are defined. So have I got private true on here? Yes. And workspaces are defined. 2 new subfolders, workspace A, workspace B, and a package in each of them. They each have a name and a version. Yarn install from the top directory. Okay. And those things are symlinked. Now, this doesn't have all of the dependencies that this is looking for, right? It's a bunch of dev dependencies, a bunch of normal dependencies. They're up here. They're up here, but they are not symlinked into this folder. So what gives? Why is this not installing those things there? Headless Commerce, ShopWay 6. Awesome. I remember now, you said you were going to do a talk about Headless ShopWay 6. How's that? You know what this reminds me of is that Marcel mentioned that Tinkerwell now supports ShopWay 6, or ShopWay in general. Screenshots, where is the ShopWay? Anywhere on here? Nope. Marcel. Am I going to find him? Yes. Tinkerwell 2, drivers for Laravel and WordPress. He tweeted about this supporting ShopWay. Go and then find the tweet. Ah, there we go. Next version will support ShopWay. That's pretty cool, hey? I must get more into Tinkerwell. Yarn Workspaces doesn't symlink all deps. Right, so these things shouldn't need to be symlinked in. They shouldn't need to be symlinked in. So why does this not? TSC config. Okay. I guess that's okay. That creates an issue because once this is deployed, how does it work? Okay. So we have a hello world. We have a hello world. Unfortunate as this is, I might need to figure out how to. Where would this be? Adonis preset TS. Adonis preset TS. TS config. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that I want to get back into this directory, TS framework, packages, or even higher than that, CP, IndieFin, where was this thing that I was editing now? PDF generator, prettier, there we go. I want to get a prettier config in the top here that formats this like I want. So the prettier config I've got going here, use single quotes true. 4 spaces for a tab. Let me close node modules here because it's getting in the way. Also, let's make a git ignore and add node modules to that. And let's git init this, because then we'll hide a bunch of stuff here that we don't want to see. Good. Okay, so we have an Adonis 5 app running, and I've figured out a little bit about what's broken about it. Now, Adonis has I need to go back to GitHub. Adonis has an ORM called Lucid, which is modeled after Eloquent. Lucid. I wonder if this is compatible with 9 days ago, compatible with the version of the framework that I'm using here. How do I install it? Oh, feels like there's going to be too much of this throughout the session. Maybe next time I want to do one of these crazy things, I will prep all of this crap beforehand. How do I install this? How do I install this? Database getting started. Cool. Packages app, install it from here. Now, will this take a stable version, or will Adonis 5 look for compatible version of Lucid? Adonis is the CLI there. Node ace install Adonis. Cool. So that doesn't work. What version? Adonis Ace 626. Maybe I should just include, maybe I should yarn add. And it'll just pull an up-to-date version that's compatible. Maybe. Seems like a recent version. Problem is, it's not given me the config files. It's not given me the provider installation instructions. I kind of have to use this thing to do all of that, don't I? Which sucks. Where's the config? Where's the config? Where is the damn config? Maybe the new site's on a development branch. Adonis.com. Develop 2 days ago. Docs. Guides. Database. Introduction. How do I install this? How do I install this? Oh great, so they are planning on using this going forward. But cool, how do I do database work? clearly this was a badly planned stream because all of this nonsense gets in the way. Can't be through controllers that you explain this. No, you don't. Where do you explain putting in a database? Do you? Nope. Way to sell books and video tutorials. Black. Okay. Adonis.js uses Knex or Nex, I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced, under the hood. You saw that when it was installing with Yarn. So its model is based on this. Best documentation ever. Well, it's not released yet, so I can't really hold them to that, but yeah, look, not great. All of these methods should be familiar if you've used Adonis, and they're very similar to if you've used Laravel or Masonite or Rails, very similar sort of ORM active record pattern. And so this would be the thing that I would look at reusing to persist database structures. So because I have lucid in here, I should have the Adonis database stuff in here. Where would it be? Is it anywhere here? Does it exist in a universe? Where did this thing install to? I'm having a real hard time. I'm having a real hard time. Tell you what, let's just start over. It's not up to date. What are you talking about? Why am I there? Why am I in the home directory? It's like trying to run Yarn from... Okay. Let's install this. Okay, so we've got our framework that has a Nex, or Knex, whatever, man. Oh, that's a symlink. Very cool. So that's symlinked in there, and we've got our application, which is using nothing. Now, I want to be able to, inside application, I want to have like a source folder, and in here I want to say, like maybe have like a models folder. And inside here, let's have like a page.ts. Okay, so class page. Like that. Totally not proper TypeScript, but there you go. I also want to maybe rename these things to follow more of a I guess it's fine that it's like that. I guess it's fine that the casing is like that. It's always ground on me how different Adonis's casing is from Laravel, but I guess it's not the end of the world. Okay, I want to define this. How do you do annotations in TypeScript? Decorators, fine. I guess. I don't know if I really want to do decorators. Yeah, I really don't want to use decorators for this. I just want to type annotation. Maybe that's not even what I want. So that's fine, but how do I do... Can I do like... So this kind of thing where I define what the database type is. Or maybe, actually, you know what, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's something like protected DB is an object. And here we define fields like title, and this is a string, content, and this is a text. There are better names for this. Short string, long string. Because it's a string, right? I don't know. What does SilverStripe use for these? Framework. Is it in Learn? I don't remember. It's Mapperdocs. Varchar text, HTML text. Interesting. So what's the distinction, Muskie? Thanks for that. What's the distinction between text and HTML text? Is that just the editor that's presented? Okay, cool. So what if we define something like this? I mean, firstly, does this even function? I do want to bring in Adonis fold though, because I think that is, I'm going to need some kind of containerization system, probably build this on Adonis when it's stable, so let me try and get fold in here. For all my sins, let's get Adonis fold in. Where did it put this? Did put it in the workspace root? Didn't it? Adonis fold. Yes. Okay. So how is Adonis fold used again? This new IOC stuff is what I'm thinking about specifically. See, it's all TypeScript, which is cool. Do something like this. Pages, show page. PHP coming out there. What if we do something like that, and then page also has a slug, which is a varchar. Maybe we put that above title. Okay. Look, I don't expect this to... I'm just trying to sketch out, like, architecturally how this could feel inside TypeScript. This is very, very SilverStripe-esque. This maybe not so. Certainly not splitting these into action controllers. That doesn't seem like a very SilverStripe-y thing. Routes.ts. This actually shouldn't be a .js. This should be a .ts. Over here. Oh, there's a bird. Routes. And then this should ideally return a default export that defines routes on a router. Thinking about how I structure this with Laravel apps. So in SilverStripe, this routing is done through config, as far as I recall. But I want to follow a similar model to how Adonis defines this, which is inside a routes config file in the root in the root folder. But how those routes are defined is the thing I want to do, because if I look at Adonis and the routing there, the router is resolved. It's like import router from, I guess in this case it'll be from IOC Adonis. If Adonis, like router. Weird. I think it's just going to do router in perpetuity, which is hilarious. But anyway, what is that called? Yeah, okay, whatever. Something like this, and then import route, then route get whatever. But I don't. I guess this is okay because at a TS level or a JavaScript level, this is scoped to the file, right? So it's not like you're calling a global. In PHP land, it's like route get, and this file is just included, and so it gets that from the global namespace, and I hate that. So what I tend to do in Laravel apps is that I will change how the service provider for routing works so that it includes a file that returns a function and then executes that function after including it with an object, a router object. And I don't know if I want to follow that for here. I think it's okay for this file to have side effects because it's isolated to the file. So it'll be something like import route from, something like that, and then route get. It'll probably also be, I'll probably also include that show page controller. So show page from IOC app controllers. Like that. This here gets auto-loaded with fold, depending on config. So I don't really need to define where these things are resolved, but then I could say something like get this will route to show page handle, except that it's a static method. I mean, this would be a class method that I'm executing here. So maybe new show page, and then it just calls a handle method if that's there. And so maybe slug. I don't know how this routing is supported in Adonis. there we go. So like this. Except does it do optional parameters? Yes, with exactly that syntax. So slug. And so this will pass slug as the parameter to the handle function. If I change the router to be like a, I don't know, like an application specific router. Or I could do this, dot handle. But I don't know if I want to do that. How are these things, how do these things route to controllers? Routing domains, groups, formats, domain. Post controller index. So it'll be like show page handle as a string. Like that. That's not the worst, actually, to define it like that. But I don't like that it's a string because errors can happen. I can't click through. I can't statically analyze that with TypeScript. And what I've started doing a lot in Laravel projects is having single page, single action controllers and using invoke, which in PHP just means that the class instance can be called like a function. Also, because of this, if it's still the same in the controllers, then I'm going to have to dereference it like this. Like slug. I'll have to dereference it like that if it's anything like the current setup for Adonis 5. Okay, but this now, how do we get this thing? Like, can we make a source class ORM model? I hate default exports, which is why I'm not doing them. Okay, so can we do something like this where we import model from somewhere and then extend model? So it's not the lucid model, it's this other thing which will extend the lucid model at some point. Or maybe not at all. Maybe it'll just use an instance of the lucid model internally or construct it dynamically. But can we in TypeScript do introspection? I don't think decorators is what I want. Required. So where is this used? How is this used? Like that. There's so much I don't understand about TypeScript. I wonder if it's not best just to do like a TypeScript, just to like do some learning with TypeScript first before I try this really weird. wonder if it's not perhaps like more useful for me to do a TypeScript course before I try and do any of this stuff. This is interesting though. Yeah. Look, I have not been very successful with stream. I'm going to call it early. Thank you, Muskie, for the SilverStripe knowledge. Thank you for Maranoid for sticking it out, even though JavaScript's not your thing. I think I need to spend a lot more time preparing this topic before trying it again, because I just hit wall after wall, and it's been quite frustrating. So tomorrow, I think I'm definitely going to go back to Git store work, because there's a lot of interesting stuff I still have to do on there. In interesting news, I've been confirmed to go to a conference and do... Oh, sorry, Nuts. Interesting news, I've been confirmed to go to a conference in June where I need to do one talk on Livewire, which is really cool. Gitstore uses a lot of that. A lot of projects use a lot of that I work on. And another talk on IoT and robotics and Lego. So those are definitely two topics that I'll be doing on stream, preparing heavily for the conference for one stream. Anyway, join me tomorrow, like an hour ago, but tomorrow. I'll be doing some more Gitstore stuff. And thank you for hanging out. It's been frustrating, but you've been cool.